Ladies and gentlemen, welcome to another market breakdown. It is November 11th, a Tuesday, second week of November. We got only about a month and a half until the end of the year. Well, at the end of this week. So that's crazy. I mean, 2025 feels like it flew by. But yeah, without further ado, let's begin. Starting with the trades that we ended up closing this week, or closed for us, I suppose. CAD CHF. CAD CHF last week we entered on Wednesday actually, almost got taken out of the trade. We were up about a 1-to-1. Then price had this reversal. We ended up holding over the weekend, survived the swaps over the weekend, and then price ended up, I wouldn't even say slowly moving up towards our stop loss. It was actually pretty quickly. And then it consolidated, literally tapped our stop loss, and then had a complete turnaround. That sucks. That's my bad, I suppose, for my stop loss being so tight. I actually stayed up a little bit last night and thought about that. Because this trade was very, very similar. Some people actually got wicked out of this trade right here. So had my stop loss been about 3 to 5 pips bigger on both of these trades, well, this one wouldn't have changed. We still would have gotten taken out of this trade. But on the other hand, this trade, we actually probably would have still been in. Let's add, so this is 20 pips. Let's call it 25. Yeah, we would have been fine. We would have been completely fine on this trade. In fact, our stop loss should be 5 pips above this. So instead of 25, call it 30. I don't really like taking trades with 30 pip stop losses, but you know what? Sometimes you have to. Sometimes you have to. And I think this is one of those times, especially considering the fact that when we took this entry, we were still above the 4 hour time frame. So that might actually be a new rule that I implement for myself personally is I prefer to take trades when they're underneath the 4 hour EMA. But if I decide not to follow that rule, or if I think that the trade is still going to play out, even though we took it above the 4 hour EMA, then my stop loss will have to be quite a bit larger. In this case, it would be 33% larger, from 20 to 30 pips. So yeah, that sucks. 2 losses. Well, technically 1 loss from last week. This one was held over the weekend. So technically this week we've only taken 1 loss, which was GBP CAD. Now let's go over both of these, quickly grade them. I do believe CAD CHF will have a continuation this week. No, look at that. So Freddie gave us, oh, he actually implemented my idea. Date filtering. So now we can actually see our statistics, winnings, and losses on the dashboard with a little bit more detail. So starting with CAD CHF, let's grade this really quickly. Weekly time frame, bearish, daily time frame, bearish, and 4 hour time frame, bearish. So we took this with 3 time frames in sync. Were we at around psychological level? Not really. Actually, we ended up coming all the way up to the round psychological level and rejecting it. So, I mean, we're at the round psychological level in general, right? So let's say if I'm taking a trade and I'm waiting for price to shift structure at around psychological level, that would count as part of the entry. We have an area of interest, which we took our trade after price rejected it. Weekly time frame, what do we have? We don't have a pattern. We're retesting previous structure. We're not retesting the EMA, and we don't really have a rejection. Now, last week, so if we're going to take this trade this week, right? Last week, we didn't have a candlestick rejection, but this week we did. In fact, that would have been very wise for us to wait for that full weekly candlestick rejection, and we probably would have avoided this loss. Not only that, but now we have a daily candlestick rejection. So today would have been the perfect day to take this trade. So yeah, daily time frame. What did we have? really nothing. We just retested the EMA. We had a few candlestick rejections from last week. No pattern other than this inverted head and shoulders, which is currently creating. So if price does decide to reverse from here, I wouldn't be too surprised. And then 4-hour time frame, we had a head and shoulders right here, shoulder, head, shoulder. In fact, we have a small head and shoulders at the head of the bigger head and shoulders. At this point, we were retesting previous structure. We're not retesting the EMA, but we did have candlestick rejections. On my entry, I believe I waited for 1-hour time frame to shift bearish. So, well, this was already bearish, pull back, pull back. Let's see. Potentially lower time frame. Yeah, so it was a rejection of the lower time frame. 30-minute engulfing. We were underneath the 30-minute EMA. But I don't think that there was a shift of structure on the lower time frames, considering that the lower time frames were already bearish at the time of entry, and they actually remained bearish up until like this point here. So this was the entry on CAD CHF 95% trade setup. Not terrible. In fact, the only reason we're losing this trade now is because of my stop loss. On to the next is GBP CAD. I think we went over this one yesterday. Yeah, so we have currently a 80% trade with the confluences that we have. We have two bullish time frames, or we had two bullish time frames at the time of entry. I think we still do. 4-hour time frame is still bullish. Daily time frame is still bullish. Only issue is we were currently underneath the 4-hour EMA. You guys are right about that. So now if price does break back above, retest this previous structure, then we could consider taking buys. We would have a head and shoulders pattern on the 4-hour time frame, which would add to our confluences. So yeah, unfortunate loss here. And then pretty, I would say, can't say deserved loss, but this one was avoidable. Avoidable loss with the stop loss that I took there. All right, so let's see what Freddie has changed with this dashboard. I'm actually kind of curious. Oh yeah, this one was loss. So 2 losses this month so far. Not ideal, but we're still up 1%. Okay, here we go. So we got last 30 days. These are the statistics that we have. It's not bad. Last 90 days, that doesn't really change much in terms of total profit loss. And then the last 7 days. So I do like that. That's nice. Okay, so on to the actual analysis. So now we've gone over the traded pairs. Let's go into some of these other ones. Bitcoin. Bitcoin is bearish on the weekly time frame. It is bearish on the daily time frame. We've pulled back into this previous structure, head and shoulders pattern. We're starting to see a rejection, created a double top on the 4-hour time frame, and we are shifting, retesting the lower time frame to potentially sell back into the weekly EMA. Would be nice to see that happen. As of right now, I don't have many expectations other than potentially retesting these structures, maybe selling a little bit lower and then retesting the day. I think we're just going to bounce around for the next couple of days until this EMA catches up to price. And then once it does that, catches up, we shift above, and then we continue to buy. SPX did exactly what I thought it was going to do. Weekly time frames bullish, daily time frame bullish. We pulled back into the previous structures, had a reaction candle, and yesterday what happened, we literally opened and pressed upwards. 0 pullbacks other than this one small pullback. I guess that could kind of count as what I had marked up, but it's not as perfect. As of right now, I think all of these pairs are doing a very, very similar thing. Yeah, so we had pullback, previous structures, reaction. Now we should just see either a pullback for a continuation or simply just a continuation immediately from where we are. Now, one thing that I hadn't considered, and I watched a video about AI yesterday. It was like a little documentary about how AIs develop and how they're going to affect the economy over the next 5 or 10 years. And I hadn't considered how exponential the growth is associated to AI. So it's similar to like if you have money that you're putting into the stock market, it compounds and it grows faster and faster with like $5,000. If you put it into 5% return, I'm not going to do the math right now, but it grows a lot. You could end up with $1 million just starting with 5 or 10,000, right? With AI, it's the same thing. You start off with a smaller AI, and it's small, it's slow, but it is better than humans doing work, right? It's better than um, software engineers, this, that, and the other. Not a lot better, but it does work a little bit quicker. And this AI works and it builds a smarter AI, so on and so forth, until you eventually have an AI so strong that it can, so smart, so fast that it can outwork 50 of the top software engineers in the world. It's smarter at everything, it's better at everything. All of this being said, it can replace any worker that it really needs to. Like in the next 10 years, all those futuristic movies that have like everyone has their own little robot butler and you have robots driving around the streets, things like that. That's all possible. It doesn't seem like it's possible right now, but with AI developing as quickly as it can, it is possible. So what is AI really going to do to the economy? Well, at first, it's not going to look great. But at the end of the day, the people who are investing into these AIs, they know that they're going to overtake the economy. They're going to be able to make more things. They're going to be, they don't have to pay workers. They don't have to do this, that, or the other. The AI is going to do everything. The robots are going to do everything. So in the long term, I do think that it's going to be exponential growth to all major markets. I don't know how exponential, how quickly it's going to grow, but I don't think that it's really going to slow down the economy at all. I think that there's a reason why the market has taken off the way it has in recent history, and I don't think it's going to stop anytime soon. So all that being said, very very bullish on all major, I guess, U.S. markets, Nasdaq, S&P, US 30, especially if they're tech related stocks. Continual growth and exponential growth. But yeah, so we have a reaction, pullback, continuation for all three of these. Nothing much more to be expected. You can already see the bullish market structure forming. Gold is already having that bullish reaction off the daily EMA 4-hour time frame. Below the EMA had a bullish market shift, above the EMA, and we literally just took off. So as soon as we shifted above that 2-hour EMA and retested it, as I had been explaining since we broke below it, now we have that continuation to the upside. All I'm expecting is a pullback into the 2-hour EMA for more continuation to the upside, similar to the way it dips into it, continues, pulls back, continues, pulls back, continues. That's exactly what's going to continue to happen with gold. Once again, gold is probably going to reach $5,000-$6,000 within the next 6 months. It's also moving really, really quickly. Dollar index, price is pulling back into this EMA, the 2-hour EMA. When price pulls back so slowly, that usually only means that the EMA is catching up and it's going to push price lower. But if for some reason we shift above aggressively, similar to the way we did right here, pull back into the EMA, continuation to the upside. From a higher perspective right now, price is having a reaction from the weekly EMA. Price is probably going to continue to react from it. At the very minimum, I would expect it to probably pull back into these previous structures right here. There's not much of an area of interest here. But we are seeing price starting to kind of shift underneath this 4-hour EMA, broke above, retested to potentially continue to sell. And if we break below this one, then we're probably going to target the daily EMA here. And that would kind of line up with our expectation for price to basically have a pullback on USD pairs, especially for, let's say, USD CHF. Very, very similar to the dollar index in that aspect. In fact, this one looks a lot cleaner than the DXY. I think there's a lot more room for selling here, where over here it almost looks like we've reached that daily EMA already. 4-hour time frame has already shifted, pulled back, and sold. So on DXY, we're kind of still up here, when on US 30, we're already down here. So that could already tell you that price is probably going to catch up to US 30 with all of that selling momentum. Or not US 30, USD CAD, sorry. USD CHF, wow. Same thing, weekly rejection candle, and then weekly selling to catch up to that. We do have weekly previous structure right here. However, for trading weekly market structure, then we're trading with weekly candles. We're going to have a few weekly candles involved. So if we sell down to here, next week we could get a doji, and then the following week a continuation to the upside if that's what price decides it wants to do. But yeah, DXY, I would expect selling potentially into this structure right here, daily time frame, daily EMA, daily previous structure. That's what I would expect to see. And if for some reason we get a bullish engulfing candle off of this area, or off of this area of interest, then we could expect to see buyers. But as of right now, I do think price is going to continue to sell into this line right here. All right, on to our actual market breakdown. Starting with CAD CHF, we already kind of went over this one. Weekly bearish, doji. In fact, we can regrade this one. Weekly time frame is bearish, daily time frame is bearish, and 4-hour time frame is currently bullish. But with this candle that is opening right now, or rather closing in the next hour, this market structure will be bearish on the 4-hour time frame. Once again, for a safe trade, it would be lovely to see a pullback to sell, like a pullback like this, where we have multiple 4-hour candles, pullback, pullback, pullback. In fact, this could be a daily pullback candle, kind of like this, where we have a strong sell from the area of interest, daily pullback candle, and then continuation. This is a trade that I'll probably re-enter this week. If I do see that 4-hour pullback happen. If we have an example, I guess we sold below the EMA, pulled back into the EMA, and then continued to sell. So that's kind of what I would expect to happen on CAD CHF. Not perfect, not beautiful, but it is nice. It is functional. So, all right, so we have 3 time frames in sync in the next 1 hour. Do we have a round psychological level? Not anymore. Do we have an area of interest? Yes, price is rejecting the area of interest. On the weekly time frame, I don't think much changes, except for we now have a candlestick rejection. Daily time frame, we now have a double top. We're not retesting previous structure yet. But if we do get that candlestick pullback, we might get a retest of this previous structure. I wouldn't even count this as a market structure, but I don't know, probably not. Retesting 50 EMA, yes, we did. Candlestick rejection, this is our candlestick rejection. 4-hour time frame has created, I guess, a double top here. We're not retesting previous structure just yet, and we don't have a candlestick rejection just yet. So as of right now, we don't have too great of a trade, but after a few more of these boxes get filled in, then we will have a great trade on our hands. But yeah, just waiting for a 4-hour pullback and a continuation candle. GBP CAD. This one's a bit disappointing. Weekly time frame had a rejection candle. Daily time frame is still bullish, so I guess this trade is technically still valid. 4-hour time frame is still bullish. Like I said again, if we get a market, I guess it's not even a shift of structure. It would just be price breaking above the 4-hour EMA, pull back into the 4-hour EMA, retesting that previous structure for a continuation. Then we would potentially consider to re-enter this trade. If not, then I'm going to stay away. On to USD JPY. Weekly time frame is bullish. Daily time frame having that continuation. We never got the pullback like we were hoping for, so we never took the trade. I guess that pullback could still happen. 4-hour time frame is bullish from right here, so we're bullish from here to here. I'm honestly not too interested in this anymore. I think that if we do get a daily pullback, we would be creating like a day, like I guess a double top here. I don't know. NZD JPY, we did pull back into the EMA. Now, in a perfect world, we would see price breaking above the 4-hour time frame, 4-hour EMA, then pulling back and then having a continuation. But we're not buying at an area of interest, so I'm not interested in this. At this point, we're not buying at an area of interest here, not interested in this. We didn't get that pullback the way we wanted to. CAD or Euro CAD, weekly time frame is bearish, daily time frame is currently bullish. So we did have that shift to structure. We had the pullback. As of right now, price is retesting this daily EMA. 4-hour time frame is currently bearish. 4-hour time frame is bearish. We did catch a trade here on this. Like if we call this a head and shoulders, shoulder, head, shoulder, we had a shift to structure there. But I think in reality, I was taking the trade off of the shift above the 30-minute EMA, which once again did happen. So I guess if we were to, if we were to enter this trade, it would look something a little bit more along the lines of stop loss below here. Call that 100 at the stop loss, and then 25, 26 pips. I could see this potentially happening. Take profit would be there for a 1 to 2.4. Not my favorite setup right now. But price doesn't really, what's it called? Doesn't really do much on the 4-hour time frame. Like here, we were below, we sold, but now we're above the 4-hour EMA, above the 30-minute, above the 1 hour. I don't really hate that, to be honest. I think that there's a good chance that this continues. And you can see how nicely price follows the 30-minute EMA. It's actually pretty solid. Let's see. 1-hour EMA, even better. Very clean market structure, and you're above, retest buy, below, above, retest buy, so on and so forth. We're below, above, retest buy. I'll keep an eye on this one still. I do like it. I think it's almost ready to take. Only issue, I guess, at the moment is that you have two bearish time frames. That would be your weekly time frame broke below this structure point, went bearish. Daily time frame is currently bullish, but the 4-hour time frame has shifted bearish below this structure point. So I think that's for everyone to decide for themselves. I'll watch this one closely. I don't know if I'll trade it yet. Probably not, though. We'll see. We'll see if there's anything better out there for us. Waiting for the 4 hour to have a shift the structure, retest the area of interest. If it doesn't happen, won't enter. Yeah, we'll see. There's plenty of trades in these markets. We have so many pairs to look at. But yeah, EuroCAD is one I'll keep an eye on. If not to trade, then to learn from it. All right, Euro CHF. What happened? Weekly time frame has pulled back into our area of interest. Daily time frame has had a reaction. So yesterday we actually closed with a bearish engulfing candle, 4 hour time frame. As I had mentioned, here we had a push up, we had a shift, we had the correction, and then we are having the continuation right here. Price broke below, retested this area, this line, retested the neckline of the double bottom, and then you potentially could have entered like on the way down from here, even if it was right here, stop loss above that wick. We'll call it 20 pips of a stop loss just to be safe. And you're up a 1-to-1, almost a 1-to-2. This one is a little bit questionable as of right now. I wouldn't take this. I wouldn't try to enter it, but I would wait for a pullback into the EMA to have a continuation, okay? So similar to right here, we sold underneath the EMA, then we had the pullback, and then we had the continuation. Exactly what I'd be looking for. Going to be interested in sells once we get that pullback. So in our situation, it would look like a daily pullback candle or a bunch of 4 hour candles that are bullish. GBP, CHF, same exact thing. Had a strong reaction, never had a pullback on the 4 hour time frame. Shifted below the EMA, retested, sold, and price is gone now. This was what, the news event, Monday at 5 p.m. No, this was market close, I'm pretty sure. Yeah, that was when the market closed. Interesting. And that happened across all CHF pairs. As of right now, yeah, I'm not really interested in this. It's already gone. Now, the difference between Euro CHF is the amount of selling we can still do here. GBP CHF is at the lower low. Like we're not, unless we get a nice pullback on the daily time frame. For some reason, let's say the daily time frame closes bearish right down here and then has a pullback into previous structure, then we might consider selling. But as of right now, not interested. Euro CHF, we're still waiting for that pullback on the 4 hour time frame. AUD CHF, one that we also talked about. We have this weekly rejection candle. We were either waiting for price to break above these equal highs, shift bullish, pull back, continuation, or we were waiting for price to shift underneath the daily EMA, pull back and sell, okay? Or in our case, it was a shift below for the 4 hour time frame to go bearish, pull back, and then have a continuation. Still going to be waiting for that to happen. As of right now, so we have one time frame that's bearish. I think we have two time frames that are bearish. The third one I would suppose is optional, if that's the way you want to trade it. I would still wait for a pullback into the 30 EMA, a little bit more like, what's the word I'm looking for? A little more consistently, I guess. Right now, we're kind of in the middle of a selling move, quick pullback, rejection from the EMA should be all that we need. So if you don't want to wait for the 4-hour time frame to shift bearish, then all you have to wait for is a pullback into the 30-minute EMA to sell. But I'll personally be waiting for price to shift bearish on the 4-hour, actually sell, have a pullback, and then have the continuation from there. So I'm no longer looking for buys. I don't think that the buys are even going to happen anytime soon unless the daily time frame shifts bullish, which is what we were waiting for. Euro USD weekly time frame had a reaction candle. Daily time frame is currently bearish, and 4-hour time frame has broken above, retested the EMA to potentially buy. Okay, so if we're looking for sells, I'd look for sells underneath that EMA, retest sell similar to this. I think we're basically creating the same type of market structure. It looks exactly like this. So we broke above the EMA, retested, broke above, retested, had a continuation above, sold, retested, bought, sold, retested, bought, shifted, retested from the bottom side, sold. So now all we're waiting for is price to come up here, retest it, have a rejection, shift underneath, retest it from the bottom side, and then have the continuation. That's all we're waiting for there. And you can see this happen multiple times. Here's another example. Price bought into the EMA, retested, bought above the EMA, sold into the EMA, rejected the EMA, sold below the EMA, retested the EMA from the bottom side, and then sold. Okay. Same exact thing. So, excuse me. That could take a long time. And within that time, we might even have a bullish continuation on Euro USD. We have no idea if that's going to happen or if it's not going to happen. But the way that I see it, we are underneath this area of interest. We are underneath the daily EMA, and we could easily see more sellers. Am I interested? As of right now, still waiting for the reaction to the downside. And if we don't see that, then I'm not going to trade it. Okay. USD CAD had a strong weekly rejection last week. Weekly time frame is bullish. Daily time frame is bullish. We're having a pullback. We broke through our area of interest through previous structure. It looks like we're targeting the next area of interest, which is right here. We have 1 structure point, 2 structure points, and we'll call that 3. So we have 1, 2, and 3. Okay. On our way to this next area of interest, where we have, I guess, a little previous structure right here. We have our EMA. 4-hour time frame has now shifted below. So as soon as we shifted below, we retested to sell. Now all we'd be interested in is price to sell. Oops. Sell, create market structure, double bottom, head and shoulders, shift above the EMA, retest the neckline of whatever market structure we create, and then buy with the daily and the weekly time frames. And then also the 4-hour time frame if we shift bullish. Okay. So as of right now, 4-hour time frame is still bullish, but by the time we do everything that we need to do, it will most likely shift bearish again. Am I still interested? Yes. Remember what we were saying? We're waiting for that daily rejection candle. We have 8 hours to create it here, or a bullish engulfing candle, which could happen. Which could happen as well. But yeah. All right. Out of all of these pairs, I think that there is opportunity in each one of them. So I'm going to keep them on my list for now. So let's go into some of the other pairs that we have here. GBP CHF, we already talked about. I'm going to wait for a pullback into previous structure to sell. Daily pullback, preferably 4-hour. I mean, it could be a 4-hour pullback. Like at this point, it could pull back into this previous 4-hour time frame or structure, retest the EMA on the 4-hour time frame to sell. I guess that's a potential opportunity for you guys. Here's the thing though. What's going to happen if we get a 4-hour pullback here? Well, that means we're getting a 4-hour pullback here, and we're getting a 4-hour pullback here. So why wouldn't I take a trade on this pair, which looks so much cleaner, and instead take a trade on this pair, right? It makes no sense. So yeah, if we're getting a 4-hour pullback here, then we might as well wait for the 4-hour pullback to end on one of these other pairs that have a lot more bearish potential and continuation, rather than one that is almost at the lower low. And then we're basically trading into the abyss. We have no idea when it's going to stop, when it's going to reverse, so on and so forth. Okay. USD JPY, we already talked about this one. We're at the higher high at the moment. We're far away from any area of interest. If for some reason price finds itself back at this area, we might be able to take buys if it creates a double bottom. But as of right now, not interested. NZD JPY, we're kind of in the middle of this mess. Like, I don't know what's happening here. Price likes to trade sideways, it seems. Not sure I've traded this in the recent history. Here, I try to take a sell for some reason. Other than that, I haven't really traded this pair. But you can see how nicely it follows the 4-hour EMA. If I had just followed this, we could have gotten a win instead of a loss. But as of right now, we're below the 4-hour EMA, so we could see selling back into this area of interest. And if we do sell into the area of interest, we might be able to take buys above the area of interest or above the EMA. As of right now, not interested. NZD USD weekly time frame is bearish. We were able to take a fantastic trade last week or the week before. Unfortunately, we didn't really capitalize off of the entire move. Now, the move ended once again after this bearish or rejection candle. I think that I would have gotten out even after this candle right here. But what I look for on these types of trades is a bearish doji or a doji candle signifying the bottom of the move, and then a shift above, retest, and buy above the 15-minute EMA. And that's exactly what's happened. Now we're currently trading above that 15-minute EMA or 30-minute EMA, and price definitely could be more money. Yeah, it could have been, but you know, greed is what ruins people in this industry. So took a nice trade here, took 2 losses, took a nice trade here. So overall, very, very profitable on NZD USD. I've had some crazy, crazy sells. This one I think closed because I have no idea. I have no idea why we closed that trade, but it absolutely tanked afterwards. As of right now, not interested in any trades, just waiting for that daily pullback to happen, similar to this, similar to this, similar to this, similar to this. Just waiting for a week or two of buying before we can then sell. AUD USD, same thing. I think that if NZD USD is going to buy, then AUD USD is going to buy even more so. In fact, you could probably even profit off of buys on AUD USD because of the way that it buys. Like, honestly, I would consider taking buys here. Weekly time frame is bearish, daily time frame is bearish. That's the only downside. And 4-hour time frame is currently bearish. So you're taking a very, very counter trend trade. This is one that I would take with less risk, very, very tight stop loss. And I would honestly target, at the very minimum, this daily structure right here. And at the most, I would target this daily structure up here. So just like I've gone over this almost every single time, but whenever NZD USD has a buy, or like let's say for sells, this selling candle lines up with that selling candle on AUD USD. This selling candle lines up with that selling candle. This selling candle lines up with this selling candle. So you see they basically, this one is so much cleaner, but this one follows along in its own way. Like it's creating market structure, but it's struggling to sell the same way that NZD USD does. Okay. Um, and that's probably because and I have no idea for sure, but I'm guessing it's because the Australian dollar is stronger than the New Zealand dollar. And it's able to combat the US dollar. So they're kind of, instead of one shoving the other one around the direction it wants to go, they're kind of actually, wrestling it out. And that's why market is moving sideways rather than down. Eventually, I do think that the US dollar will get stronger. Or wait, one Australian dollar would purchase. Yeah, so the US dollar would be getting stronger overall. But as of right now, I think they're kind of even. All right, so USD CHF weekly time frame is bullish. Temporarily, it seems. Daily time frame is bullish, retesting the EMA, and 4-hour time frame is bearish underneath the EMA. As of right now, we have 2 time frames in sync to buy, but it looks like price is actually going to be creating new lower lows. I think that we're going to eventually shift bearish on the daily time frame and the weekly time frame, unless we get a proper. And when I say proper, I mean like we break back above this area of interest and then we continue to buy. But if we shift back below the daily EMA, then chances, and we already shifted below the 4-hour EMA. So what do you think is going to happen? I think price is just going to come back, retest the EMA, and then sell. That's what I think is going to happen. It looks like very similar to this move right here, where we're below the EMA, we broke above, we bought very aggressively, broke above, bought very aggressively. We found our top, we had a shift of structure, and then we sold, and we continue to sell. Right now, we're kind of in a situation like this where we've aggressively sold underneath the EMA, retest EMA, sell, retest EMA, sell, retest EMA, sell. That's what I'm going to be looking for. It's going to be a very, very strong counter trend trade, but it will be trading. Now that we think about it, if we're looking for, if I'm looking for sells on these USD pairs, but they're going to be buying temporarily, not long term. And these sells here would also be temporary, or these sells here would be temporary, not long term either. So we'll see what happens with those. Obviously, CHF is going to be the leading factor, I think, in this pair rather than the USD. CHF is a very, very strong currency. So I do think that overall, we might be able to see longer term sells, but we have no idea for sure. But yeah, short term retest of the 4-hour EMA, riskier trade, riskier than not. And potential sells there. Am I interested? Not exactly. NZD CHF probably going to be in a similar situation. We created a lower low on the weekly time frame. So we're lower low from here, lower high, lower low. Daily time frame is at a lower low, so automatically not interested already. And a 4-hour time frame pullback kind of into the EMA to sell. Not interested. Going to be needing a more of a daily pullback into previous structure to sell. Not even an area of interest. There's no areas of interest, mostly just previous structures. Now, if you expect price to sell, which it does, whenever it retests previous structure, you get a weekly selling candle, continuation. You could see another week of selling. And if that's something that you want to kind of bet on or trade, then you could potentially trade a continuation to the downside. Only issue is you don't have any structure points to use as your take profit. You would be trading blind. Wow, you would be trading blindly. At that point, all you have to do is set say if you're risking 10 pips, then you just target a 1 to 2, 20 pips, 25 pips, get your 1 to 2, 1 to 2.5 and get out. Not interested for myself. Weekly time frame on CHF JPY, bullish at a higher high. Daily time frame is about to shift bullish at the higher high. And 4-hour time frame did what? Shifted above the EMA, kind of had a pull back into the 30-minute EMA, I guess. Yeah, pull back into 30-minute EMA and continuation there. Am I interested? Not exactly. At this point, 4-hour time frame has gone bullish and weekly time frame is bullish. Daily time frame is bearish, but not interested. GJ. GJ had a strong rejection last week. Daily time frame has created a higher high, pull back, pull back, pull back. Now we have shifted past internal structure. So here we have a lot of sellers were in this area to push price down into the EMA. Now we're above the EMA, above the 4-hour EMA. At this point, we're having this pullback. So the 4-hour time frame has shifted bearish. Technically, we had the higher high right here, shift the structure. We went bearish. If you want to play it safe, you wait for price to shift back above here to go bullish on the 4-hour to continue to buy. Or what I would do is just wait for a proper retest of this. And then as soon as price breaks above this, I think it's daily structure. Yeah. So as soon as price closes above this daily structure, retests it, then you could potentially take some buys. I guess a good indication would be as soon as price shifts above the 30-minute EMA and then retests it to buy, that could be a potential trade there. So closes above the 30-minute EMA, small pullback, and then continuation. That could be your trade. And then your target would be weekly structure or daily structure, depending on which one you want to trade. I do believe that we will break above this high right here and have a continuation on the daily time frame, which means basically sky is the limit, right? If we have a higher high, higher low, your higher high will break above this point at the very minimum and can continue even higher past that. Am I interested? A little bit. We'll put it up here for now. I want to check out some of these other ones. AUD JPY, kind of doing the same thing. Weekly time frame is bullish. Daily time frame is bullish. We had a pullback into this previous structure, continuation. Now we're pulling back into this previous structure. 4-hour time frame is doing the exact same thing, where we have a higher high, pullback, higher high, shift the structure. I mean, if you want to count this as an elbow, you can. Personally, I'm probably not going to. But then again, and that's why I have that rule for elbows, which I follow most of the time. But this is clearly a 2 candlestick pullback and you have your continuation. Whereas on, which one was it? AUD JPY, it's only 1 candlestick and then you have a higher high. So I guess it's personal preference. But yeah, higher high. And then we're just having a pullback probably into this previous structure right here, into the EMA, and then going to have the continuation from there. Not sure if I'm going to be interested in trading this or not. Probably not. We'll see. We'll see. Maybe tomorrow. Probably tomorrow. Euro JPY at a higher high. I'm already not interested, unless we get a solid pullback, which could happen, but could not happen also. CAD JPY already having a pullback. Daily time frame is bearish. Weekly time frame is bullish. Now, one thing to notice is that we don't have a wick at the bottom of this weekly time frame. So there is potential for that wick to be created. Daily time frame is bearish. 4-hour time frame, I guess, created a double top. Underneath the double top, retest to potentially sell, but the daily time frame is bullish. 4-hour time frame is bullish, excuse me, and the weekly time frame is bullish. So you're trading against the trend. The only trend you have in your favor would be the daily time frame. GBP NZD, bullish. Weekly time or daily time frame is currently bearish, and 4-hour time frame is currently bullish. Not interested, just too much going on right here. I do expect a continuation, but we don't have any time frames in sync. Or rather, we do. Pull back into the EMA. I guess you could potentially look for something similar to this, where we had a strong push up, pull back. You didn't really reach the EMA, but you have a continuation. Which time frame? 1-hour EMA. Yeah, 1-hour EMA seems to be very, very respected. Now that we're underneath the 1-hour EMA, we would probably see price selling until we then break above the 1-hour EMA and then continue to buy. And then obviously retest buy, all above the 1-hour EMA. So similar to the way it has in the past. Right here is a good example. We're above, we broke below, retest sell. We then break above, retest buy. Took an unfortunate loss here because my stop loss wasn't big enough. Broke below, retest sell, broke above, retest buy, retest. I mean, it's so simple, so simple. Same thing here. I was an idiot. I don't know why I took that trade. Sometimes you just need to pick a time frame. Like, not every pair is going to be the same. Like here, it's the 1-hour EMA. On some pairs, it's a 30-minute EMA. But if you want to trade one pair, get familiar with it. Or if you want to trade multiple pairs, go between time frames and find which one is most respected, which EMA, what market structure is most respected. Here, it's clearly the 1-hour. Like, there's no doubt about it. And that's what we're waiting for. 1-hour, shift above, retest buy. That's it. There's really no other questions to be asked. Is this one that I'll be interested in trading? Potentially, now that we look at it like that. Weekly time frame is bullish. We had a push. This is our pullback. Daily time frame pullback. It's happening. And then just continuation. So yeah, I will keep an eye on it. I don't think I'm going to trade it immediately. There's still quite a bit that needs to happen, but we'll see. We'll see what happens. AUD CAD. Weekly time frame is bullish. Daily time frame is still bearish, and 4-hour time frame is bullish, is bearish. We created a higher high here, then we shifted, created a lower low. So we are bearish on the 4-hour. Honestly, I'm not interested in this, but if you were interested, you could do one of two things. Wait for price to break above the EMA, retest to buy, or you wait for price to actually break out of this little trend line, retest to buy. And then that's your trade into your daily area of interest right here. Okay. Not interested right now. Euro GBP. We have your previous structure. We're waiting for the daily pullback into that previous structure, but we also created a higher high here. We had a pullback. If we were to come down into here, daily time frame would have to go bearish. Seems like it didn't want to do that. Seems like we just retested the 4-hour EMA and then had a continuation off of that. So as of right now, not interested, still waiting for to take a trade from an area of interest. GBP USD, another USD pair. Aren't we glad that we didn't take the trade on it? I am. Inverted head and shoulders, retest to the neckline to continue. Daily or weekly time frame had the weekly rejection, pulling back, so waiting for the daily pullback as on the other USD pairs, daily pullback to previous structure into EMA to sell. Could take another couple of days, couple of weeks. Still waiting on that. Yep. So literally at the beginning of the call, we talked about it. NZD CAD, strong sell last week, waiting on the pullback. Daily pullback has begun, rejection candle. 4-hour time frame, excuse me, 4-hour time frame has had a, so this was our lower low. We shifted bullish and we shifted bearish. Excuse me, one moment. Gotta stay hydrated. Wow. Okay. So daily time frame, 4-hour time frame, shifted bearish. We're having a pullback. We might pull back into 4-hour previous structure into EMA. That would be that. And if not, then we pull back all the way into daily previous structure. Since we're bearish from right here all the way down to here, then we can literally pull back all the way up to here into the EMA in order to sell, like similar to the way we did here. In fact, the market structure is very, very similar. We had sell, pull back, sell. This doesn't count as an elbow, by the way. And then we pulled back into the EMA, continue to sell, okay? Not the same, but we have the sell, pull back, sell. We shifted above, pulled back, continue to sell. I mean, I don't make it up. I just drew it, okay? Same exact thing is going to happen. Mark my words. Going to have a pullback and have a continuation. All right, next, Euro NZD. But yeah, on that one, not interested until we have a complete pullback and then a continuation. Euro NZD, weekly time frame is bullish, daily time frame is bullish. We're having a pullback into previous structure, into what seems to be an area of interest, could be. 4-hour time frame is also still bullish. This one is a little bit difficult. It's not much of an area of interest, and we're pretty far from the EMA. Like in a perfect world, price would sell all the way down to here. The EMA would catch up, and then we'd have a continuation from there. We don't live in a perfect world, though. And taking a trade, I guess your options are to take it from the 4-hour EMA or from the daily EMA. I'm just afraid that something like this is going to happen where we shift below the EMA, retest it, sell, break above. I guess that could be it. If it does shift below, then you have to wait for it to shift back above, retest to buy. And then if it shifts below, retest sells, then it's going to sell all the way into the daily EMA, from which we will then see a reaction similar to the one we saw right here when I took this trade. And on this one, what do you see happening? Well, you see prices below the EMA, below the EMA. This is a very, very early aggressive entry. It was on a Friday. Price shifted above the EMA on the 30-minute, retested, bought, retested, bought. So that could be what you decide to follow. We'll delete this. 30-minute EMA is a pretty good indication on this pair. So is the 1-hour EMA, 2-hour EMA, so on and so forth. But yeah, not interested at the moment. Yeah, we're just going to continue to wait on that one. AUD NZD weekly time frame is bullish. We're at a higher high. We're starting a pullback. Daily time frame is having a bearish candle. 4-hour time frame has already had a shift to structure. So 4-hour time frame has shifted bearish. Right here, we had a higher high, higher low, higher high, shift to structure, We even had a pullback into the neckline already on the 1 hour time frame. Pullback neckline engulfing your entry for high counter trend trade sells is right here. You have your market structure, you have your pullback engulfing right there, and price is currently having its pullback. Now, I believe its pullback will happen all the way into previous daily structure. However, it could very easily stop right here at this red candle. Why is this where I think it might stop? Because on the lower time frames, this is market structure. There's a reason why there's a red candle here. That's why I do count single candlesticks as market structure sometimes, depending on what they look like, because they are market structure in some form or another. So in this case, there was very, very strong selling here. Therefore, if there's strong selling here, we managed to break above it, then we might see some strong buying from here all the way up. But yeah. All right. So last two are GBP AUD and Euro AUD. So for these ones, weekly time frame is bullish. We're having a weekly pullback. We've broken underneath the weekly EMA. Daily time frame has broken underneath the daily EMA. Obviously, we have been for a while. Retested previous structure and has had sells. 4 hour time frame is kind of in the middle right now. I think that we are trying to break above retest to buy. That is potential, I guess, for a counter trend trade. Weekly's, well, it's not really counter trend. Daily time frame is currently bullish. Yeah. So I am considering some buys here. Okay, bear with me. Weekly time frame is very bullish. There are situations where price actually ends up breaking below the EMA only to have a continuation to the upside. Okay, so we have broken underneath and we're trying to break back above. The daily time frame has already shifted bullish. We created a double bottom right here. So we had a lower low, lower high, lower low, shifted bullish. We're having a pullback into the neckline of this double bottom. And the 4 hour time frame has shifted above the EMA and is now pushing into the EMA to potentially have a continuation. So for this one, the way that I would look at it is if price ends up shifting back above the EMA like that, then I would consider taking buys. 4 hour EMA here is respected, but not as much as I would like. You can see how price kind of trades on top of the 4 hour EMA until it finally breaks above. I think that might be the situation we're in. We have to wait for this full break above, retest to buy. But if that does happen, then we could be in a very good position to take some long-term buys. By long-term, I mean we're at the bottom of what could be a continuation on the weekly time frame. That means our main target or our final target would be right here on the weekly time frame. But yeah, we'll see what happens there. Monthly time frame is bullish, weekly time frame is bullish, and daily time frame is bullish. 4 hour time frame is currently bearish. So we'll keep an eye on that one. I do like the idea behind it. As of right now, we're looking for buys. Euro AUD, very similar situation on this one. Weekly time frame is bullish. Now, the way that I've recently viewed these types of pullbacks where we're not really moving anywhere, we're just moving sideways. And I think I've explained this before, is when price moves sideways, it's not really going anywhere. It's more so allowing the EMA on that time frame to catch up to it. So here, when price did this move right here, the EMA was still right here. Okay, so that's how far away we were. And then we had the push up, EMA caught up a little bit more. We're moving sideways, EMA catches up even more. So as of right now, we're in a decent position for price to just have a continuation and push higher. So at this point, price can do this, pull back, and then push higher. Obviously, this could all take a couple of weeks, and there's no guarantee of that even happening. But in terms of where we are, I think that the chances of us having a continuation to the upside are much higher than not. Weekly time frame is bullish, daily time frame is bearish, and 4-hour time frame is currently bullish. So I prefer GBP AUD. Where is it? GBP AUD over Euro AUD. They move similarly, but one is much cleaner than the other, similar to the way that we were trading AUD USD and NZD USD. One is much cleaner than the other. But yeah, here market structure is currently bearish on the 4-hour. Actually, no, I lied. We have the lower low right here, shifted structure, so we're bullish on the 4-hour. Very, very risky to take buys right now. But if you want to consider this being your inverted head and shoulders, retest of the neckline to continue to buy, there's a chance of that being true. Similar to the way we did right here, push above aggressively, pulled back aggressively as well, and had a continuation from there. So I'm not going to be interested in this one, although I do think that market structure has shifted in the direction we want it to go, finally. But yeah, that's basically it for those. Let's go through and go over all of these once more. We're already having a continuation on Euro CAD, as we talked about. Daily time frame, head and shoulders, 4-hour time frame. I was waiting for a full break above the EMA and retest of the EMA. That would be when I'd be more comfortable taking this trade. So here we're waiting for break and retest above lower time frame EMA to buy. I guess we did mention that, didn't we? Break retest above 830. So if we're having the call yesterday, we were in this position right here. And since yesterday, price did that exact thing. It broke above, retested to buy. 4-hour time frame. I don't want to rush into this one, so I'm just going to stay away for now. Still going to be waiting on that 4-hour, potential 4-hour pullback. Only thing is, I don't think it's going to happen. Here, price moves without having many pullbacks. Usually, it has its reaction from the EMA and just goes. Reaction from the EMA, go, go, go. Like literally even here. Boom, boom, boom. So I think price is gone, but we'll keep an eye on it. This would be at the top of the list. That means GBP CAD did us really dirty. I'm not going to lie. That means that we got absolutely that's quite unfortunate. But yeah, that's what we get for taking a trade right below the EMA. Next is, so yeah, this one, I'm going to continue waiting, break and retest potentially. Euro CHF, waiting for the 4-hour pullback. This will go above that. This is a pullback into the 4-hour time frame to sell. Euro USD. For this one, I think we're talking about a break and retest below to sell. So this is a break and retest, as well as Euro CAD, USD CAD. USD CAD moved very quickly in the last 1 hour. For USD CAD, it was break above, retest to buy. GBP NZD, pull back to buy. It'd be a pullback into previous structure to buy, I believe. maybe pull back into the daily EMA or into the area of interest. Let's see. Or in short, wait for price to break and retest above 1 hour EMA, which could take literally days. So going to be waiting on that. I'm going to keep an eye on this one, probably the closest because of how clean market structure usually is. Wow, what happened? Okay, yeah. So here, still waiting for that break and retest below. Price really did shoot up in the last hour as well. At 8 a.m. Yeah, so it's almost 9:30 a.m. Eastern time. But yeah, price broke, retested to buy. What happened to gold? So gold's still trading quite bullish. Um, Euro CAD, Euro USD. Yeah, at this point, that 4-hour EMA really did a lot. That 4-hour EMA did so much. Has there been any announcements in the news over in the US for the markets have without any folders? It could be Trump. I mean, he never announces anything, he just speaks and the markets move. I don't think that that's that. I think it's more so that there's hope that the government's going to open back up. So any news events that have been withheld or news data that has been withheld will be released. So they're probably anticipating those news releases. I have no idea if they're going to open the government up today, this week, next week. I have no idea, but it has been long enough. In fact, it's been so long that I have, like, I thought that they opened it back up like 2 weeks ago, but they didn't. And I've been out of touch with that side of the world. Yeah, it's just a bunch of adult children who don't know how to agree on stuff. So, but yeah, Euro USD pairs are moving quite a lot right now. GBP AUD, we're talking about a break and retest above the 4-hour. So this is a 4-hour break and retest. This one's more of a pullback. That's a break and retest. Break and retest to the downside, break and retest to the upside. And then this one would be a break and retest on the lower time frame. So that would go up to there. And this one was basically a break and retest above the 1-hour time frame. So since these two, let's see, GBP, GBP JPY and GBP NZD, for both of these, I'll be looking for basically a break and retest above the lower time frames. For these ones, Euro CHF, waiting for a pullback on the 4-hour time frame into the EMA to sell, pull back into the EMA to sell. Here, it'll be a pullback into the EMA to buy. Euro or GBP AUD, break and retest above the EMA to buy. Euro USD, break and retest below the EMA to sell. Break and retest above the EMA to buy. For Euro USD, like I'm saying sell, but there's two options. There's the buys and the sells. The only issue I'm having with the buys, let's see, weekly time frame is bullish, daily time frame is bearish, 4-hour time frame is bullish. Yeah, so the only issue I really have with the buys is the fact that the daily time frame is both bearish and underneath the EMA. Okay, so if we're going to be taking the buys, I would like to see something like this happen, where we create. In fact, it would be very nice to see that happen. A head and shoulders pattern above the EMA, so shoulder, head, shoulder, buy. That could take a week, though. It could take literally 2 weeks because it needs. Let's say we buy for another 3 days or 2 days. Then it takes 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 days, a whole week to pull back. And then the next week we get the continuation. So on a weekly time frame, that would look nice. It would look like a bullish candle, a red candle, and then the next candle is bullish. So kind of like this: bullish candle, red candle, bullish candle. And that's exactly what we wait for and look for buys. So as of right now, I'm looking for the counter trend trade sells. They're only counter trend trade until the 4 hour time frame goes bearish, which it will as soon as price closes down here, if it does. So lots of ifs, buts, and maybes. But obviously, with enough patience, anything can happen, and we'll be trading anything when it does happen. So yeah, that's the list for this week. Ladies and gentlemen, any other questions, let me know. I'll give it a few minutes. And if you're watching from YouTube, thank you guys for watching. Appreciate your time. Hopefully you guys can join these calls in the future. And check out the TCT. Freddie's done a lot of work to it. Looks very good. Very, very nice. You don't have to pay for a journal and a tool separately. You can get both in one. And if you don't want to pay at all, there's a free version for you guys. So it does have limited features, but it lets you try it out without having to pay $1. So I appreciate you guys. You guys are amazing, the best. And I'll see you guys in the next video.